My name is Commissioner Frank Avila, and I'm a commissioner at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. And today the name of our show is Roots and Shoots Makes a Difference. And as my guest, I have Credell Wall. Credell is the Illinois State Coordinator of Roots and Shoots Great Lake Region of the Jane Goodall Institute. And Credell, glad to have you on my show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Now, you know, when we talked at the beginning, you mentioned Roots and Shoots. And I said, Roots and Shoots. I said, what is Roots and Shoots, Credell?
Well, Roots and Shoots is the youth service learning component for the Jane Goodall Institute. But I guess first I should say what the Jane Goodall Institute is.
Yes, because you also mentioned Jane, you're with the Jane Goodall Institute, and you mentioned everyone should know about Jane Goodall.
Yes, yes. I mean, because I'm just learning a great deal about her myself. She is a primatologist, she's an environmentalist, and a humanitarian. In 1970, she created what is called the Jane Goodall Institute, which protects the wildlife in Tanzania, such as the chimpanzees.
Oh, yeah. I thought I read an article where she lived among them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And she spent her time studying them, their behaviors, how they eat, how they get along. But unfortunately, chimpanzees are being eaten as bushmeat.
As bushmeat?
It's called bushmeat. They're being eaten. And their habitat is slowly going away. And so the Institute protects those chimpanzees and their habitat. And so Dr. J decided that what better way to create change than to inspire young people to understand that they too can make a change in their community. So that's where Roots and Shoots came about.
And then that is Roots and Shoots, and that's where it got started?
It's Roots and Shoots was started in Tanzania.
Tanzania, yes.
In 1991.
Yes.
By 16 individuals.
16?
16 individuals. They were on Jane Goodall's porch, and they were inspired by all the work that she's done, and
yes.
They said, you know what, let's start this organization called Roots and Shoots. Let's do community service learning projects in our community, and it branched out from there.
No, you know, Credell, why did you take the job then as the Illinois State Coordinator?
You know, that's a great question. I took the job, prior to that I was working at Garfield Park Conservatory with teenagers on the west side of Chicago.
On the west side, yes.
And we've done a lot of amazing things with them. We even went to Peru to visit a rainforest.
Okay. After
working with them for 3 years. And when I saw the job description for the Illinois State Coordinator, it seems like, you know what, I was doing this, I was doing wonderful work with young people in this community.
Yes.
Why not put myself in a position where I can work with young people over several states?
And that's where the Great Lakes region.
Yes, that's where the Great Lake region comes in.
Illinois State Coordinator.
Yes. So now I have the state. Next is going to be global, hopefully.
Well, yes.
And I would love to take some Roots and Shoots groups out of the country at some point.
You know, as the Illinois State Coordinator, we're going to start a new year. What are some of your plans now, since you're the Illinois State Coordinator? It must take up a lot of your time and your travel time also.
You know, this is my 5th month with Roots and Shoots.
Yes.
And already I have a full plate of trying to get to know all of the Roots and Shoots groups in Illinois. Right now we currently have 74.
74 Roots and Shoots groups. Now, Roots and Shoots groups are made up of young kids, young adults?
They're made of community-based organizations, schools, families, homeschool groups, you name it. And they're between the ages of preschool up until 24, 26.
And the purpose of Roots and Shoot is to try and save the planet?
Overall.
Yes.
Overall. And also to get the young people to create service learning projects in their community that show the care for people, animals, and the environment.
And the environment. For people, animal, and the environment.
Yes.
I think that's going to be a big accomplishment, because every time I read the paper, I pick up, we have climate change coming along, shortage of water, everything, pollution, everything you read every day, we have all of these problems. And so your group, your various groups are going to concentrate on different types of environment.
Yes.
Different types how to take care of the animals and protect them.
Yes. And that's one of the great things about Roots and Shoots is that it's a global organization, and there are groups, they vary.
Yes.
Because we have groups in Tanzania, we have groups in China.
Yes.
And of course we have groups in America. And groups are doing campaigns that reflect on recycling, water conservation, and just basically animal welfare.
Oh.
And because there are different communities with different issues that needs to be addressed.
And so on the west side, what are some of the issues on the west side that your groups are doing now?
We have some new groups on the west side of Chicago. We have one main group that's creating a campaign called e-cycling.
E-cycling?
E-cycling.
Oh, e-cycling. No, computers.
Exactly. Yes, computers. There are a lot of people out there that have computers in their homes that they can't use anymore because they don't work.
Yes.
And they either store it in their closet or they'll just dump it somewhere. And all those computer parts end up in a landfill.
Yes.
It's not biodegradable. It doesn't go away.
Right.
And so what they do is that they go out to different houses,
okay,
go to the schools, and they collect these parts and put together new computers. And then eventually those computers will go to families that can't afford computers, or they will sell them for a very small price.
I see. Well,
to bridge the digital gap.
Right, because we do have a lot of computers because the technology in computers. You buy a computer now, in 6 months or a year later, you have a newer technology, and as a human being, we always want the newest thing out there.
Yes, and actually that's another thing too. Some of these computers that they're putting together,
yes,
they're upgrading them, so they have to take money out of their budget to bring them up to standard.
You're talking about recycling. As I mentioned, I'm the commissioner at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago, and we have a collection day. We call it the Hazardous Day collection, where we collect hazardous products.
Oh, wow.
And one of the things that we're concerned with now is prescription drugs and personal care products. Because, growing up, people were taught to dispose of pharmaceutical drugs, flush it down the toilet, which is a no-no.
Right.
Because, we don't treat pharmaceutical drugs as it comes through our sewage treatment plant. And it goes back into the environment. So we are starting a program to educate the public here in Cook County how to dispose of their pharmaceutical drugs. So that might be one of the issues that your group may want to take up.
You know what? You're not far from the truth. That's definitely a campaign that a group or our new youth council can take up to educate the people on what to do with those drugs versus disposing them in the toilets.
And even with personal care products.
Exactly.
Or hazard products out there, if they have it. We have a collection day that they'll come out, and we will collect these products.
I would love to talk some more about that later too. I think that's a good idea.
Well, that's good, because the purpose of Roots and Shoot is that we used to call our neighbor next door to us or on the next block. But as you mentioned, global, because of technology, someone could get on the internet and correspond with someone across the ocean. So our neighbors now is not only in the same block or the next block or in Chicago or Cook County. Our neighbor is the whole planet.
Exactly.
Because what they do in China to make products has an effect of the environment here in Illinois, in Chicago, because we do buy a lot of products from China. We do buy a lot of products from the Asian countries, the Latin American countries, from Europe, and that all has an environmental effect on us. Because in China, when they make their products, their energy is coal. You know,
Right.
and what does coal emit up in the chimney? Carbon dioxide, CO2s, which they say has an effect on our climate change.
And that's when trees come into play.
And that's where trees come into play. Yes.
And actually, like one of our, we have a youth council that's it's comprised of 14 and 24-year-olds from different roots and shoots.
14 and 20.
14 to 24-year-olds.
Yes.
That come from different roots and shoots groups across the U.S. And they took a trip to Tanzania
Yes.
to visit the other roots and shoots groups over there. And one of the things they learned is that they were trying to put together 5 tree nurseries so that these trees can grow and absorb, the carbon monoxide from the air. And so they started a Rebirth the Earth campaign here in the U.S.
Excellent. Do you know, I'm glad you brought that up. At the district, at the Water Reclamation District, where I'm a commissioner at, we treat wastewater. And what's wastewater? Wastewater is what you flush down the toilet. Wastewater when you wash your dishes, or the wastewater when there's storms and an area has combined sewers, the storm water and the flushing out the toilet when they all meet and goes into one sewer. It goes into our sewer treatment plant. And the way we treat it, and after we treat it, it comes out 2 ways. One is effluent, which is liquid, and we discharge that into our channels. And when we discharge that into our channel, and this is treated wastewater now, it goes through, we own the Chicago Sanitary and Ship Canal, and we own the Calumet-Sac Canal and the North Shore Channel. And they all meet at a point up in Lockport. We have a lock there. And that is discharged into the Des Plaines River, goes into the Illinois River, goes into the Mississippi, down into the Gulf of Mexico. So the way we take care of the environment here in Cook County and treat wastewater has an effect traveling all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. And that's how we treat wastewater on the effluent side. It comes out another way in solid, we call biosolids. And talking about trees and plants which absorb the CO2 from the air, the atmosphere, because to help change this climate change is that it has too much CO2s up in the atmosphere. So we have to take that out. And what you're saying is that the trees and the plant needs the CO2, but what type of farming needs it the most is by organic farming. No pesticides, no processed fertilizer, but by natural fertilizer. And this is what we have on our biosolid side. So we give it to the farmers to grow livestock feed, and we give it to golf course, football, baseball fields, and by them using our biosolids, it provides nutrient to the soil. The plants that are grown because of our biosolids absorb that CO2. So what you're doing on your tree projects with roots and shoots,
the Rebirth the Earth project,
is that we're doing that also. There.
So there's probably another connection there too.
Yes. Well, we all have to try and save the planet, and
we have to work together.
We have to work together, and who's the best students to start teaching now? Because are the students, are the young kids to start training them.
Yep, it's time to train them, and then they'll continue to train the young people under them.
Yes. Now, since there are roots and shoots throughout the world, why did you pick Chicago to come and set up your roots and shoot projects?
I'm trying to remember exactly where, but Dr. Jane, she spoke somewhere.
Okay.
And of course, when she speaks, a lot of people listen. And after her lecture, there were a lot of roots and shoots groups started popping up all over the place. And in the Midwest is where we saw a large concentration of them. And so in February, they decided to create a Great Lakes office here in Chicago, this February 2007.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so we're new, and we needed an office here to serve those groups, to help them with the resources that they need to continue to do good work.
That's excellent, because not only do we have to help climate change and we do it by, as we mentioned, organic farming, is that we also are facing water shortage also. And probably in Tanzania, I don't know what their water situation is there, but they must be facing a water supply also.
Yeah, I don't know about Tanzania, but I know in Ghana.
In Ghana?
In Ghana, they have a challenge. Well, you just can't drink the water out there, and in probably most third world countries.
Third world, yeah. And you know, and here we're living in God's country, here in the Great Lakes. You know, of all the water in the world, 1% is fresh water. 1%
Wow.
of all the water in the world is fresh water, and 18% of that 1% of fresh water is right here in the Great Lakes. And the other day I picked up the paper, the Tribune or Sun Times, and they mentioned that there's a shortage of water in Atlanta.
Really?
Yes, there's a shortage of water in the Southwest. And they were saying in the paper, they were saying that they should run a pipeline from the Great Lakes all the way down to Southwest Atlanta, probably to so they could have fresh water. So we do have a problem in water here also.
You know, and speaking of having problems with water, Roots and Shoots, we have a partnership with Sears,
yes,
and Kenmore brand,
yes,
to promote their water conservation, basically. So so that people should start purchasing energy efficient washing machines. So it makes it so that you don't use up a lot of water when you're doing your dishes. And actually, we're trying to get people to do a better job of how they live at home. You know, for example, when you leave the house, turn the lights off.
yes. Energy, save energy.
Saving energy and water conservation, basically.
That's true, because here in Cook County, our energy is a fossil fuel that they use. And what's fossil fuel? Coal. And that emits CO2 up in the atmosphere here. And who suffers from CO2? You know, people that have asthma. You know, they suffer. And I don't know the number of people that have asthma here in Cook County, but we have to try to eliminate the CO2 in the atmosphere so they could have better health here also.
Yeah.
You know, everyone has a different effect if we have if our environment is not healthy, because our health suffers also.
Yeah.
And now, Credell, what type impact do you think Root and Shoot is having on people? Do you think they're having a big effect? Are people actually listening to your groups on Roots and Shoots?
You know, I know they are. I think the effects are happening within the groups and definitely with the people that they're working with. I think when young people go out and they promote good things, in general, people listen. There are groups that are doing things inside of their schools, asking for better lunch. The school is listening. There are young people out there.
And why should they have better lunch in schools? Well, what does a healthier lunch provide that student?
It provides them with the proper nourishment that they need.
Right, and this. Right.
And it gets rid of the case of obesity.
Obesity, yeah, because in the paper they were saying that in America, the American students are the most obese students around.
Right.
And that's because, why? Because we eat a lot of unhealthy foods.
And of course, there's more to it than your diet.
Exercise come to play.
Yeah, exercise, proper rest, when you eat.
When you eat, the type of food you eat, more vegetables.
Definitely.
Yeah, they had an article in the paper about cancer. And they were saying that yes, our research and scientists have improved our pharmaceutical drugs to help cancer. But they're saying that the data shows that a human being could improve their cancer rate if they by 30 to 40% if they were to eat properly, healthier foods, more vegetables.
Right.
If they were to exercise, is another key thing, and also try to relieve stress on themselves.
Yeah.
And that in turn will help them maybe not have cancer. Only up to 30-40%. You still need pharmaceutical drugs, but this is but this is what the data shows.
And it all makes sense.
Yes, and so now roots and shoots here in the Chicagoland area. Are you going out to different schools, or are you going out to different communities to see if they want to start their own roots and shoots here? Because we have 5 million people here in Cook County.
Yeah, you know how I basically do it is that I've been in Chicago for 33 years, and over that period of time, I've met and I've learned about a lot of people, and somebody knows somebody that's doing wonderful work. And so usually I will go out to a particular school on the west side of Chicago or the south side of Chicago, and prior to going out there, I've already learned that they're interested in starting a Roots and Shoots group. And for most groups, they already have what they need. They just need one extra component that we can give them to put together a service learning project so that they can become a group.
Now, when you say they have what they already have, what do they have?
Like, for example, great example, there's a group, a new Roots and Shoots group on the south side of Chicago. They have a recording studio.
Recording studio?
They have a computer lab. And most importantly, they have a solid base of young people.
Is this a school or a community?
It's a good question. It's a community-based organization.
A community-based?
It's a community-based organization. They have those 3 resources.
Yes.
And some of the things that they do already is that they have their groups put on shows that promote anti-violence.
Yes.
When I first heard about them, they put on this huge peace conference in the South Shore area. What they didn't have was a lot of people participating in it. They didn't have certain resources such as people, some structure to the group and what they wanted to do. And so now that they're becoming a Roots and Shoots group, we're going to help them promote the work that they're doing and to get them connected to the 8,000 Roots and Shoots groups that we have, although they won't need all 8,000.
That's excellent. So there are groups out there that have the tools.
They have the tools.
They have the tools, but they need someone, a group out there, like the Jane Goodall Institute, to come and help them get started. And you hit about the key. One of the key points that you brought out is that they're connected to 8,000 other roots and shoot groups out there, because they're not the only one that is trying to do this. They say, look, we got 8,000 other groups, and we're going to be part of that group, and try and save the planet. And why is it so important that we should help the environment? Because we need what? We need water. Because our body is made up of 2/3 of water.
What is it,
right?
75%?
So 75 up there, 2/3.
Yeah.
And we need air, right?
Yeah.
Right. And
we gotta breathe.
We gotta breathe, and we need what? Food, right? To live. And these are and also we also need the spirit of our young kids.
We need the future. Well, actually, the present and the future.
Right, the present and the future, because who's going to solve all of these problems? Where does our labor force come from? Where does our scientists come from? Is that these the young kids are the future.
And that's really key, and we really need to make sure that we raise them well, we inspire them well, and we continue to encourage young people to do good work.
Yes, but what else are you doing? Anything with the teachers?
With the teachers in schools?
Yeah, because the teachers have, you have to, the teacher teach the teacher so the teacher could teach the kids. Or is it the teachers teaching the parents teach the, because the first teacher of kids are the parents.
Right.
And so how does the teaching aspect come into it?
In connection with Roots and Shoots, teachers are the same as parents. They're the same as we call them group leaders. And basically what The teachers, it's really interesting because now that I think about it, the young people are teaching the teachers.
Young people are teaching.
They're teaching the teachers because here you have a project that you have an issue in your school.
Yes.
That needs to be dealt with.
Yeah.
The teachers can say whatever they want to say. We need to do this. We need to do this. But
Yes.
guess what? It won't happen unless the young people say, I agree. This is an issue.
Issue, yes.
Let's deal with this because they're the ones that will be doing it.
Yeah. Now, you have a magazine,
Yes.
Roots and Shoot magazine, and is this put on once a month, quarterly, or?
This is our regional newsletter.
Yes.
I'm sorry, national newsletter.
Okay.
It is quarterly, and inside the newsletter, you have stories from all of the Roots and Shoots groups in America.
In America?
And in Tanzania. Not all of them, but highlighted groups in America, in Tanzania, and in China. And you also have some feature articles from different group leaders, regional directors. Eventually you'll have an article from me in here. This was printed before I started. And also the most important thing to me is that in this newsletter, you hear about the campaigns that were created by our youth council, which is something that we're trying to do here in the Great Lakes region, is to start our youth council. And that youth council will continue to support these projects in addition to coming up with their own campaigns that will affect the Great Lakes region.
You know, that's excellent. Do you know what I would like to do?
What's that?
Credell, is that I like to bring one of your youth groups on the show, and we could talk about what they're trying to do and how they're trying to save the planet.
And what got them started.
Yeah, and what got them started.
Yes.
Because, you know, you read about in the paper about other things that what the youth are doing, but you very rarely read about what the youth are doing to save the environment, save the planet.
Yes.
And I think this is important to show other youth out there that, hey, look, there are groups that you could belong to.
No, that's definitely true. And there are a lot of young people that don't know where they can go for clubs if they wanted to become a Roots and Shoots member.
Yes.
There are schools that are starting clubs itself, just for people can just come and be a part of it.
Yeah, because I think the youth are the future to save our environment here.
I agree.